Hello and welcome to Records Rebuilds, and today we are celebrating the C8 Z06, and that's because we finally have the results of Car and Driver's lightning lap, and the car turned in a scorching time of 2 minutes 38.6 seconds. We'll put that in a little more perspective in a little while, but what you really need to know is the car lost its supercharger, it lost quite a bit of torque, and yet it's turning in a faster quarter mile and faster lap time at VIR. That's more than I ever thought was humanly possible. It's the fastest naturally aspirated lightning lap time in history. So I'm super excited. If you stick around till the end of the video, we'll also talk a little bit about Ciocca and how my car is doing, how long till I get an allocation, how long till you might get an allocation, the latest news on that front. And so yeah, without any further delay, let's take a look at how this car stacks up historically in the lightning lap. So here are the long-awaited results, and I just want to say up front, this is an absolute unmitigated, out-of-the-park grand slam home run, and this car needed this kind of a result on this type of a test. Now, you can make it a point that it's only 1 second faster than the C7 ZR1, and the C7 ZR1 had worse tires. If they had equal tires, the C7 ZR1 might go faster. I could buy that. That makes sense to me. But it exceeds the ZR1 in its stock configuration, which is something that it needed to do. It's much faster than the C7 Z06 that it is replacing. It is 6 seconds faster, which is just insane. It beats the brand new Cayman GT4 RS and the Porsche 911 GT3, but it's significant that its cost is now much closer to those cars, so it has to punch in this range in order to be worth the price they're charging for it, because really, you've got to expect this type of performance from a Corvette if you're paying that much for it. If I had to throw just the tiniest little bit of a wet blanket on this amazing car, it would be when I compare it to its competitors from Porsche. Now, it's still faster than each of these cars by 1 to 2 seconds, and it still costs significantly less than they do, so it's a win in general. But in the past, when you were talking about a Porsche and a Corvette with relatively similar lap times, you would expect to pay half to 3/4 as much for the Corvette. And you can see by these numbers, that just isn't the case anymore. Now, of course, you can't get any of these three cars for anything near these prices currently because there's so much in demand, but that's a different story for a different time. The good news is, even if the look down the list makes us think this car might not be the insane value that it has always been, a quick look up the list makes us think maybe it's an even better value than it's ever been before. It's 5 seconds faster than the fastest Lamborghini that Car and Driver has ever tested. It takes the 5th overall spot and the fastest naturally aspirated spot of any car that has ever been tested in the lightning lap. And let's go over the prices of the cars that are above it on the list. There's the 765 LT from McLaren. That one was tested at $429,190. There's the Porsche 911 GT2 RS Wasatch Edition. That car costs $332,336. There's the Mercedes AMG GT Black Series that costs $340,820. And the mother of them all, the car that's really in a class of its own, the McLaren Senna, which they tested at $982,816. So yeah, when you put it up against those cars, two of which are not even a second per lap faster, I hate to say it, but $140,000 actually does look like a bit of a bargain. Now, if you're wanting to say, hey Luke, wait a second, the lightning lap is not a reliable test. It's driven by amateur drivers, magazine writers, and you really can't use this as an objectively verifiable source. I would say, yeah, you're probably right. In fact, I'm going to put a link in the description that talks about the inherent problems with these types of tests. but it's the closest thing I have, and I want to get this car and I want to use it for time trials, so I need to vaguely have some idea of where the time's going to be at against competitors, and this is the closest thing I have to something I can use to make that judgment call. Okay, so how do you actually get a hold of one of these cars? Well, if you don't have a reservation already, it's probably going to be a long wait. But I know a lot of people who follow this channel have a reservation at Ciocca, just like me, so I wanted to bring this little tidbit of information to your attention. It comes from CorvetteForum.com, courtesy of user Austin Vetter, and it's from a conversation he had directly with Dave at Ciocca. I know Ciocca monitors this forum, so I think this is very reliable information. I think they would correct it if it was incorrect. Basically, they explain the reason the list has been moving so slow is because they had 40 special VIN cars that were allocations that came before they started the actual list. Now, as far as the list itself is concerned, they've actually already gotten allocations to 43 of the people on the list. They are currently at spot number 49, which means 6 people are holding and waiting for the Z07 Aero package. That means Ciocca has received 83 total allocations so far, and the last time I did the math, that is on track for about 4% of total production, right where they have been historically. So they are expecting to get about 30 cars each month, and if you add that up, I'm number 231 currently. That means I should be expecting a car in 6 to 7 months, so we'll see what happens by then. Maybe we get the car in time to take it to Grid Life in October of this year. That would be super awesome. I know it's been a really long wait for this car, but right now, at this moment, I would say I am as jacked up and excited as I was when we first saw that release video over a year ago for this car. And I'm really excited to get these very amateur hands on the steering wheel of one of these things, take it to local tracks and see what type of times we can put down in competition. So if you're waiting on one as well, I hope your allocation comes sooner than you think, and we'll see you next time, guys.